Hello again. I'm sure that we have all of us noticed that despite Britain supposedly being a democracy, the government never seems to do what the average person wants. This is odd and far from satisfactory. We know that the majority of people in Britain wish to reduce immigration dramatically, and yet there is not the slightest chance of this happening. Government after government has been voted in and simply ignores the will of the people and continues to import millions of new immigrants. Voting has no effect at all because whatever they say, both Labour and the Conservatives will continue with this policy. It's pretty much the same, of course, for other policies, net zero, for example. This is not only unsatisfactory, it is also exceedingly strange because surely democracy is about people having a choice. The problem is that we have a particular kind of democracy which practically guarantees that our wishes will be ignored. This is because in this country we have a representative democracy rather than direct democracy. This is why Switzerland has banned the burqa by law, and there is not the remotest chance of this happening in Britain, no matter what the majority of the people want. It is why Switzerland has rejected net zero and Britain has not. Let me explain. In a direct democracy, every adult has a say in what is going to happen. This is possible with small communities. For instance, it's how democracy worked in ancient Greece. I have seen it in action too on the kibbutzim of Israel. It's more difficult in a large country, although not impossible. What we have in Britain is a different system, which is representative democracy. We elect delegates to an assembly, and those delegates speak and vote on our behalf. Of course, they usually vote as they are ordered to do by their party, rather than how we want them to. That is what the whips in Parliament do. They force MPs to vote in a certain way, even if those members of Parliament know very well that their constituents do not like the policy for which their delegates are voting. That is why the Prime Minister was so confident in dismissing a question about burqas, because he doesn't care what voters think, but only about what he thinks. Things are very different in Switzerland, where in 2021 the burqa was banned, because that is what most people in the country wanted. A referendum on the subject was held that year, one of 13 in Switzerland in 2021. Another referendum that year was on the idea of electronic identity cards, something which our own government is now actively considering. The Swiss rejected the idea, and that is to say the Swiss people rejected it. Our politicians in Britain are not at all keen on referenda because they don't like giving people a choice if they can possibly help it. Remember what happened when we were given a choice about remaining in the European Union and how furious the main political parties were with the electorate for making the wrong choice? They won't repeat that experiment again in a hurry, I can tell you. They only allowed a vote because they thought it would go the right way. In Switzerland, there are 3 different types of referenda. One of them is called a mandatory referendum. Any change in the country's constitution or signing of any international treaty is the subject of a referendum which must be held. The government has to consult the people. Then there are so-called popular initiatives, which mean that a referendum can be triggered if 100,000 people sign a petition. In such a case, a referendum must be held on the question. This is how the burqa came to be banned. After 100,000 people signed a petition, there was a referendum, and the Swiss voted to ban burqas. That is true democracy for you, as opposed to the pitiful version which we have in this country. The petition in Britain to ban halal slaughter got more than 109,000 votes recently, and as a result, the subject will be debated in Parliament on Monday. I give a link to this in the description to this video. We know very well that MPs will waffle on and not actually ban it. That is shadow democracy, you see, the appearance of democracy without substance. In Switzerland, a petition with that many signatures would have caused a referendum to be held on the subject. That's real democracy. Still thinking about Switzerland in 2021, the government wanted to raise energy taxes that year and increase renewable sources of power so that they could achieve net zero by 2050. The kind of thing, of course, which our own government is currently up to. There was a referendum on this, and the Swiss people simply rejected the plan. Hooray! That is why in Switzerland there is real democracy, and in this country there's no real democracy at all. It's an illusion.